Hello, my fellow growers and dreamers. Lyle here with Bramble and Blooms. I'm in the greenhouse today. It's about 80 degrees and the sun's starting to go down behind me, so I know it's going to cool off quick. So I am in here today taking advantage of this lovely temperature in here over the 47 degrees in my garage so I can start some seeds. I am starting in January Lisianthus and some eucalyptus and a couple perennials. The perennials are a little bit older, so I'm planning on starting everything currently into small mini blocks, soil blocks. If you haven't seen my previous video regarding soil blocking, I'm giving it a try again this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm considering the number of seeds I need to grow in a small space. So I think it's going to be beneficial for that, plus the benefits for the plants themselves. Just going to quickly show you. So I already went through, I did my garden planning mostly, and I organized my seeds by the months that I need to plant them in. So I have a little tote here, and let me pull this out. So I have 2 containers that I am, of these little containers from my little tote that I have divided up into what I need to sow in January. So I've got all my Lisies in one because they are pelleted and they take up a lot of room. And then in the other, I have the rest of my seeds. These perennials are ones that I want to use for cut flowers, but also put into kind of our landscape. We have about 1.2 acres. It's a giant kind of open lawn area. We have expanded the garden a few times now, and then I started to add this hedgerow last year, and as well as what we call the secret garden. I'll have to do a video about that at some point. So I'm adding all these spaces to help add interest as well as be areas where I can cut from. So I'm hoping that these perennials, if I can get them to take off, I can get planted this spring. And I might not have anything to cut from this year, but in the coming years I'll have some beautiful sea holly, globe thistle, and bee balm in the scenery here, plus be able to cut from it. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the types of Lisianthus I am growing. So Lisies, a lot of people that do flower farming buy them from plugs. I get it, it makes sense. They take forever to mature. Their maturity date is 140 to 150 days, so it takes a really long time. You gotta really be on them. Thankfully, I work from home. I'm able to easily go in first thing in the morning, lunch break, after work, and just check on them, see if they need anything. So it works out well for me. Hopefully it will work out well for me. I do have, these are all pelleted. I do have some Roseanne Browns from 2022. If they germinate, I will be surprised, but I figured why not give it a try. I've got some seeds left in here. You can, just a few left. I know pelleted seeds really aren't supposed to be super viable after that first year, but I have them. I figured might as well plant them into the soil blocks. Since they're small, they don't take up much space. Give that a try. And then the rest that I have are all from the Voyage series, which is a number 2 as far as Lisianthus groups. So I have Voyage 2 Champagne pelleted. Sorry, like I said, all pelleted. I have actually I have 2 champagnes. There we go. And then I have a First Love. And then I also have some green 2s of the Voyage. Those are the ones I'm growing. Again, they just take a really long time. In the past, I know I've had issues with algae growing on top of the soil. That's a common issue. And they can also have something called rosetting. And generally that's caused from a period of being stressed, whether that is by heat or overwatering. They are very particular. They like heat early on, about 70 to 75 degrees. So I'm going to put these on a heating mat once they get inside. And then once they've sprouted and they have their leaves, they actually like to be a little bit cooler. They are more of a cool weather flower, so they like to be kept closer to about 60, 65. Once they do germinate, they have that first set of true leaves, I will remove them off the heat mat, and then they will go into kind of maybe the lower shelf in my area in my garage, and be a little bit cooler to grow there so I don't stress them out. I am, like I said, planning on growing them into the mini soil blocks. I know some people will pot them or step them up into the 2x2. I've seen other growers where they just keep them in the minis because of the space that it saves. I think I'm going to play it by ear at this point and see how they're doing. If I feel like I need to bump them up into the 2x2, I will. If I feel like I can keep them in the minis, that will be ideal because of the space saving aspect. The other thing about these is they generally want to be planted 12 to 13 weeks before you plant them out. So I'm in zone 6A. So our last frost is generally May 18th, somewhere around there, or maybe it's a little early, May 11th, I believe it's actually the accurate date, May 11th. And since these are cool, loving flowers, my goal is to try to get them out earlier with some protection with hoops and plastic over them, as well as frost cloth if needed. So I did build some hoops this year with a hoop bender, 4-foot, and they're set up. I just need to put plastic on them come probably earlier this spring, and then also have little hoops for frost cloth if needed. So my goal, because I want to get these out about 6 to 8 weeks before our last frost, that's why I'm starting them so early, because I do plan on planting them outside weeks before our actual last frost. They like a cool weather to get established. That is why I'm starting them so early. I do, like I said, I like to keep all my seeds kind of organized. I usually keep them organized by variety, so I'm kind of crazy. I have 2 of these containers, and I have one where I have labels where they're organized by their variety or species. So like I've got one for Lisianthus, one for sunflowers, one for amaranth, etc. And that's really handy to see like what I have maybe left over from the prior year. I can kind of look and see what colors I have, etc. But when it comes time to actually planting, I don't like going back in and pulling through each of those. So I have a second container where I have these labeled January, February, March, April, May, June. And I put my seeds in there so I know exactly what I need to I just grab the month out and plant those when I need to plant them. If I'm succession planting something, say in February or March, and I know I need to plant it again come April or May, I will just, once I'm done with that packet, move it to the next month that it needs to go into. So that's kind of my system for this, but I'm excited. This is my first seeds I'm planting of the season of 2025. So let's get started. I have my soil blocks here. I'm really excited with how they look. I can fit 250 minis onto this tray that I have here, and I have about probably close to 250 Lisianthus seeds. We're going to get these planted. I am going to be labeling them on the side of the tray with just some masking tape and a Sharpie, and then to plant them, I do have some toothpicks here in case that is easier for me to just kind of wet that and then drop it into these little holes. To help with the algae that can happen on top, I am going to sprinkle some vermiculite. Got some vermiculite here. It's just horticultural grade vermiculite. It's very fine. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this on top. I'm not going to go too heavy because the Lisianthus do want light to germinate. So I'm just going to go really light, and that just kind of helps hopefully keep the algae at bay. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to do let's do some First Love to start. Pop this on right here so I know what it is in a little bit. This one, the First Love, they're super pretty. I'm really excited about them. They're kind of this like really pale white, kind of blushy pink, kind of dreamy in my mind. So I'm just going to pour these into the lid here. Got them all. They're super tiny. Let's see if I can show these. See if I can get that kind of up close for you guys. They're really small. So I'm just going to wet the end of my toothpick and then kind of come in here and just grab one, this is the plan, and drop those into the cell. So So here we go. The nice thing about the soil blocks is there is already that little indentation, so it makes it super quick to just kind of drop and move on. The other thing about Lisianthus is after they bloom in the spring, kind of early summer, if you leave them in the ground and continue to water them, give them another dose of fertilizer, the chances of them coming back in the fall with a second flush is pretty good. Okay, one tray down. So, because I'm losing light quickly, I'm going to finish this up, these probably inside. What I'll do when I get them inside is I will mist them. Well, first I'm going to put a fine layer of vermiculite over them, which I'm going to do right now. And then once I get them inside, I can get an area to show you guys. I'm just going to mist them lightly. The misting, the top of them will help the pellet break down a little bit. So hopefully they have an easier chance of sprouting. So again, just really lightly over the top. Really just kind of help with some algae protection because they sit in here so long and have to be moist for so long. Okay, so after I mist these, they're gonna go right on the heat mat in my little growing space in the garage. Just want to take you guys outside real quick as the sun is setting. Here's the garden, a little messy back here, but just a quick little view. Sun's starting to go down back there. And we're working on getting fencing, hopefully finished in the spring. And there's Finn. Hi, Finn. Hi, bud. Where'd you go? There you are. There's Finn. We left the greenhouse, came to the garage. It's a little tight quarters in here, but I grabbed the mister. My husband grabbed the mister for me. This is the one we're using. You gotta pump it a few times. This is only like my second time using it. I'm gonna test it on this poor little eucalyptus down here. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Make this a little, gonna adjust the nozzle. That's too much. There we go. We want a pretty fine mist. So this is all of the Lisianthus that we seeded earlier. And I'm just gonna give them a quick misting here. Just to kind of, like I said, break down that pellet on the seed and kind of get them settled in. I think that is pretty good. And then I'm gonna put these onto the heat mats in here. I've got 2 heat mats and I have all my grow lights set up. They are on adjustable little chains right now, which is a huge improvement from last year. They are set on a timer. I think I have them on about 12 to 14 hours a day right now because they were just testing them, so I'll get those adjusted. And then the heat mat, I also wanted to get onto a timer. I like to have my heat mats kind of run at nighttime once the lights shut off, just to make sure that the plants are staying at the temperature they need to stay at. We'll put these in there. Well, thanks for joining me with some seeds starting this January, and I hope you all keep growing and dreaming and getting ready for spring.